the most used tool in this shop, next to this anvil and a hammer. And I think I always try to keep an extra one or two of them around. And of course, this is the old style one with the cast bodies on them. So I don't even know if they make these style anymore. I think all the new ones are cast. And I think the one that I got mounted over here has given up the goat finally. And so I'm going to try to get a little change in here on this one. Not what I wanted to do this morning. Not what I wanted to do. Blacksmithing in real life. I think the gears finally went out of it. It's hello, good morning. We're having to do a little fix it. I'll move this up a little bit so you guys can see. So the blacksmithing in real life, right? We're continually using tools. I'm continually wearing tools out. This tool gets used pretty much to cut 80% of the material in this shop. And this is a design of my own that I came up with years ago. Just a piece of channel lock, and then I hold them in there with some pipe clamps. That back one only needs to be tight enough to hold the trigger down. That in there. I've got a bad driver rubber on there, so I'm going to switch those out, or try to attempt to. Take the ones on salvage parts off of one saw and put them on the other saw. The drive belts go, they get wore out. It's always something. Let's make sure it's going to work, shall we, before we spend much time on it? It's kind of all or nothing. All right, try that. So I've taken the guard off that, and I've made this plate up. If you guys knew how much cutting this son of a gun has done. A ton of work, a ton. So I'll take this plate off of here. Maybe I will. This is just a piece of plate I cut out. Good morning. And I countersunk it and everything. Gives you a nice platform. So you can see why I gathered these saws up, because if I got a different style saw, I would completely have to rebuild everything. So whenever I'm on Facebook Marketplace or anything, I'm always looking for these old saws like this so I can. And they're totally, these ones, I don't know if the new ones are totally rebuildable or not, but these ones are absolutely totally rebuildable. You can put new brushes in them. Um, the only thing that I ever have had much trouble with, this is the first, of course, this saw, I've probably had this saw for 30 years. That gear finally went out of it, but are the bearings and then the rubber guide rubbers. They rot. So, but we'll see how it works here. All right, hopefully. I recommend you guys build one of these if you don't have one, because if you're doing this kind of work, cutting a lot of little stuff, I use it for wood, plastic. I cut all the horn in it. I could not get along. That's why I always keep an extra saw around, because I could not get along without one. Couldn't do it. So if you guys ever come across one, and you want to do a guy solid, that would be lovely. Because they're getting kind of hard to get now. Like when I'm building branded irons, I do a lot of branded irons, and you're cutting little tiny pieces to fit in a branding iron. It's so handy to have that saw sitting right there next to the welding station. You can just get your material out and set that stuff out there, and it works slick. Slick. Be glad you guys weren't around here this morning. It was -6 degrees when I woke up this morning. I think it's up to 1 or 2 degrees now here in Cody. How's everybody doing? Might be able to find a rebuild kit for that. I'm going to have to dig into that saw and see. All right, let's turn this up. I know that's backwards, but hello, good morning. That's the new logo with old Fancy Pants over there. I know it's backwards, but that's just the way it goes around here. I'm kind of backwards, so it kind of works. You guys have your favorite tools? I'm going to do some drawer pulls. I'm working on a tomahawk. Just the same old stuff every day. Just I'm always got so many projects going. These are a handy screwdriver. They got the key handles. And then, of course, it's got the extra bits in the back. Pretty handy. Almost like I know what I'm doing. I'm also thinking we'll see where I get to today, but I might try to find some handle material and put some handles on this draw knife today. We'll see what happens. Might try it. This is thank you. This is a tomahawk. I'm going to attempt to forge weld a bit into this, but I got to do a little cleaning. I don't know why I'm even messing with these. Can't sell them for the amount of time I have into them. This little forge don't hardly get hot enough to forge weld these. All right. Golden hands, yeah. Golden hands, all right. Thanks for the likes, I appreciate it. So we might just wait on this little project until I can a better, warmer day where I can go out and do this in the pool. So what I did there is I split that. And I got, there's the eye for the eye of the tomahawk. And this is generally what I do, something like that. But I was going to do a forged welded in bit on this one. And so anyway, we'll probably leave this because I've got much other work. Got much other and more pressing things to do. I'd love to put some handles on this. Piece right there would probably work. Some handles. Got a piece of maple. We'll do that in a little bit. But right now I got to work on, I'm going to do a couple of drawer, it gets drawer pulls prepped. We're going to get the big thumper out for this today. Get just a little hotter. So anyway, yeah. So much to do. I never run out of work around here. I've always got something fixing, repairing, building. But it's a good thing when it's 2 degrees below zero. This is a good place to be. Doing a little half-face blow in those. And then we'll put a little bend in them and make them into drawer pulls. I honestly don't know if it's easier to use the bigger hammer than the smaller hammer, but whatever. that's where using the smaller hammer. This looks really semi-professional. Okay. Well, let's see. This is 36 years I've been doing it. And clearly I'm not starving. So semi-professional is what it is, I guess. I got a big power hammer I could use, but it's noisy and steel is cold. I don't have time for you today. Watch this. Ah. So that's where I get to here, and then they'll go in the power hammer, and I'll show you what a finished one looks like. There you go. Once I get them bent, they look like that. I've done, I don't know, 2,500 of them or something like that. Oh, that's a wrong screw for that. Ugh. Oh, that was one of those heel and toe shoes. We had a lot of material there. Oh, I love it. The trolls come in. The armchair blacksmith. It's hilarious. They've never swung a hammer in their whole life. I'm going to come in and tell me how to do it. Life is too short for negative people. Surround yourself with positive people and people smarter than you. That's a good idea. If you can find some smarter than you, that's the ones you want to hang out with. I need to do a bunch of these other horseshoes, more of these other horseshoes, but they're covered in about that much snow out here. I was going to try to get to the post office today, but I'm not exactly sure I'm going to get out of the driveway to do it. We had another 6 or 8 inches of snow last night. And of course, now the wind's blowing. So, time will tell. Making the tooling for these is challenging because every horseshoe is different, right? They're different thicknesses, different widths. They all wear differently. So when I make the tooling to do anything with these, you got to go on the inside, measure the tooling from the inside, and the outside of the tooling has to be dynamic and be able to change. I'm not going to do that. Yeah. Well, without all of that, I want to take that thing. Switch back to trusty Rusty. Thanks for the likes, everybody. That's good. I've been trying to go live. I'm trying to do at least one live stream every day if I don't get kicked off. I want to do them every day for a month. I don't know why. Subscribers, I don't know. I don't know. Some of these horseshoes are really an hello, greetings from Cody, Wyoming. We're working on some drawer pulls today out of used horseshoes. I am the ultimate recycler around here. That blow that I'm doing there is called a half-face blow. So what I'm doing is I'm hitting that hammer half on and half off the face. And that's how you get that set down like that. And you got to have a little hammer control to do it. All right. Yeah, everything's warmed up to turn that off. I'll grab a glove and we'll knock some nails out of these other horseshoes and we'll throw them in there too. But I get a little tired of hearing that forge going in my ear. I know those horseshoes have been sitting right there and they're going to be hotter than that. So some of these are going to be back plates. Ooh, they're a little warm. Some of these are going to be back plates for other stuff. Some of these will be more drawer pulls. Like these little ones like this, they'll get made into these little double aughts like this will get made into boot jacks. But this is a lot of times this is how they come to me, right? All rusted up. And so about the easiest way I found to get rid of those rusted in nails is to throw them in the forge. And then they'll mostly come out generally. Like, see, that's a great big shoe. That's like a 2, 3. That's a big shoe. So horseshoe sizers are kind of weird. They don't start at 1. They go, and I don't ask me why this is, but they go 1, 2, 3, 4. They get bigger, and then smaller is aught, double aught, triple aught, 4-aught. So the aughts are the 4-aught is the smallest, and a 3 or a 4 is the biggest. Well, they make them bigger, but that's how the numbering system on horseshoes goes. That's a big shoe. That's a number 3. But there's 1,000 different styles of horseshoes, and it seems like I get every kind of one in this shop. So these are a rim shoe. These are very popular shoe. I don't know if they're using them as much now as they used to, but back when I was shoeing a lot of horses, this was my preferred shoe to put on horses because they were easy to shape cold. And I was doing a lot of cold shoeing back when I first started. Not a great shoe to try to modify because they don't have enough meat in them. So they're called a rim shoe because they got a rim on them. They get a lot of traction. They're fairly good in traction until they get built up with crap, and then they aren't worth a damn. These are a plain shoe, so they're flat. So if you're drawing clips or anything, this is a much better shoe to use because they got a lot more meat on them. They got a lot more material in them. So back when we used to buy horseshoes by the pound, a rim shoe, you'd get a few more rim shoes when you were buying them by the gross, by the pound, you'd get a few more. You'd get a few more rim shoes. Now everybody's using a lot of Aventer shoes. They're wider. I'll show you one here in a minute. They're a much wider shoe. More protection, I guess. More protection for the sole of the foot. It's like anything else. You go through fads with these horseshoes. I'll show you a Aventer. Here's an Aventer. See how much wider they are? So they're a lot wider. There you can really see it on the backside. They're probably a third wider shoe than a rim shoe. So they're a little easier to modify because you got a little more material in there. But I've handled so many of these horseshoes. Like I know that I can almost judge the weight of a horse by what size of shoe they're wearing. And that's a front shoe. That shoe came off the front of a horse, and it probably came off the right side. And I can tell because one heel is wore more down than the other. Most horses aren't perfectly straight. Most of them either toe in a little bit or toe out a little bit. And I think percentage-wise, there's more horses, and I don't know, maybe this has changed since I was shoeing horses, but more horses toe in than toe out in the front. So I got these spur shanks, or these spur bands bent up. And I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do for a shank on there. Generally, your shank on a spur isn't straight or square, it's rectangle. And so I might use some of this railroad iron and flatten that down. Draw that down a little narrower and try to get a set of spur shanks out of one of those. I'll go cut the head off of that. Test if this saw is working still. And that is why we use that bandsaw, because it makes quick work of doing that kind of stuff. And you can use it for anything. It works good for the bone, the handle material, elkhorn. All these horseshoes are different thicknesses, so you have to use different tongs for the different thicknesses of horseshoes that you're messing around with. And these were custom made by a guy by the name of Jim Poor years ago. And these are ones that I've built for myself. See, once that horseshoe gets hot, them nails just drop right out. That'll look like a new shoe when it cools off. That was probably a hind shoe, but he was a real block-toed horse. A lot of these will become back plates. You have to be flat. You can tell that this shoe somebody was a farrier with this one, and they were hot shoeing. So that little punch mark right there, he's marking what side of the horse that shoe went on. Generally, you mark the exterior branch of the shoe. That's how you can tell. All of that little minutia bullshit, after you do this for 30 years, if you learn. So see, this one's got all the nails left in it. Real light. Most of them will come out. And I do have a pin, a pritchel, and I can poke them out with the pritchel, but you can see that all the ones on the other side came out already. Like that. that was definitely a hind shoe, big horse. Where's the one in the back? Every pair of boots I own has the whole soles melted on them. Those hot nails. Standing on them. This shoe is good for something else. This horse was really, he wasn't very balanced. I don't know if you can see it in there. Hello, good morning. But this branch of this shoe is really wore down more than this branch is. So that means he packed a lot more weight on this branch of that shoe. And so that's not a shoe that I'm going to use in a decorative way because it's not even. Kind of weird. I mean, I'll use it for something. I'll cut it off and make hoof picks or something. See, this is a hind shoe. Clearly tell because it's pointed. Horse will carry 60 or 70% of their weight. See how this branch goes out? So I can tell you that that's the outside branch of a hind foot. So that'd be the left hind shoe. Full handle ain't great for this. There we go. So I'll show you the difference in the sizes. So this is an aught. This is a triple aught. And they make them a lot smaller than this one, right? about the biggest you're going to find downtown if you go buy them is this 3. You can generally get 3s. Pretty much anything bigger than that, you're either going to have to make it or you're going to have to custom order it. And that's the difference in the sizes. So an average saddle horse, like around here, like a 900-pound saddle horse, generally they'll take aughts on the front and double aughts on the hind. So think of like quarter horses, Arabs. A lot of Arabs will be double aughts all the way around, or aught in the front. Because they carry more weight in the front generally, if you got a good farrier, their front feet will be a little bigger. All right, let's work on this chunk of steel for that spur. I'll just get it down and then I can prep them. So I'm going to come up with some kind of a spur shank on this. And these ones I did originally, and I had a set of shanks on them, and I didn't like them, so I cut them off. But I might try to do something. Yeah. Generally, if I was making spurs, I'd get me a piece of bar stock like this, and I'd narrow that up like that. That's about right that's about the right thickness for doing a set of spurs. That gives you a little room to weld in around them if you're going to weld them on. I probably did that in the power hammer. Lots of projects out here. So these I have cut out. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or evening, or wherever you are. I generally don't do sets of spurs anymore. I generally do singles. And I turn the single spurs into door knockers. Because it's a lot easier to sell one spur, and I get almost as much money for a single spur on a door knocker as I do for a set. And matching a set of spurs is hard. Getting them exactly right and getting them exactly matched up, that's a lot of work. If you're just building one spur, it's a lot easier. Well, we're going to need this power hammer, or this triple hammer in a minute. Don't mess around. Learn how to make your own tools. Don't mess around with railroad place. Learn how to make your own tools. That's about the biggest hammer I want to swing one-handed on any given day. I think it's had a mark there. This was a pretty wore out hammer when I got it. I think this would come out of a stone quarry. I think they use this particular kind of a crossbeam in the stone quarry a lot. but the old head was really mushroomed out on it. I remade it, lightened it up some. I think it's probably 5 pounds or 5.5 pounds. The one I normally use is this 36 ouncer. You're better off starting with a lighter hammer than a heavy one. I wouldn't recommend that most beginners start with a hammer that big. So to draw that down, I used the step method. We're going to work, this is going to be a set of shanks for a pair of spurs. Here's the bands. Got the bands bent up. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Welcome in. I'm NJ Pauly. This is Cody Iron Works, and we're in Cody, Wyoming, which is the east entrance of Yellowstone National Park. And we're having a lot of bad weather here this week, and so this is a good thing to be doing on a Saturday, because last I looked, it was 1 degree above zero, and we got about 6 inches of snow last night on top of, we had about 18 or 20 inches, so. But while that piece of steel's warming up, I'll show you some of the ridiculous stuff I make. Here's something that I bet virtually nobody on here has ever seen. These are forged out of one piece of rebar, old twisted stuff. Oh, cool. That's cool. These are called fencing dogs. So I think they used them on all kinds of wire, like telegraph wire stuff back in the 1880s. But what you would do is you take your wire and you put it in this little notch, and then you spin that around, and you cant that against the wire, and it holds the wire from drawing out. And so that's how you can stretch a piece of wire. You have two of these, and you put a come along or a snatch block or a block and tackle in between them, and you pull them together. And that's how you tighten wire up. And we've been working on these the last couple of days, my happy little rabbit faces. I had to do a little surgery on him. I had a little porosity in there, so I had to go back in and weld up the porosity. And we'll see what happens today. I might get around to get some handles put on this draw knife I did. Yeah, jackrabbits. Yep. I might get some handles put on this today. I've got this little piece of, I think that's maple. We might try to get some handles put on this today. See how it goes. But I got the forge hot, the steel's hot, so I'm going to do that work right now. That's what I'm going. Let me go grab a tool, a measuring tool. Let me go grab a measuring tool. gonna have plenty. So I'm drawing that down both ways. So I'm gonna draw, we're gonna keep it pretty square this way, but we're drawing it down both ends here, because that's gonna be where I cut it, and this will be part a shank, and this will be a shank. Yeah, there's a lot of way to do these. I've seen guys, just use sheet metal, but I actually drew those out of, that's 1/2 inch round stock. And I actually drew those ears out of that 1/2 inch round. Which is something that no fabricator would do. A fabricator would use some sheet metal. No fabricator is going to take a big old piece of round stock like that and pound the ears out. So that just kind of shows you that it's a blacksmith made thing. Same thing with these. I could just make this, weld a ring to the top of these, and they would work exactly the same. But yeah, but I could make these by just forging up some rings and welding them on. They'd work exactly the same. But I'm a blacksmith, so I forge stuff. I need to let that piece of material get hot all the way through, because I'm going to square this sucker up now. And so you can't have a hot end and a cold end. You want to have the same heat all the way through so everything bends the same. This is kind of this length, about 6 inches or 7 inches, is about the limit of this little 1-burner forge I have. I've got a big 3-burner over here that I can light up if I need to heat up a longer piece of material. But man, does that sucker use the propane? Okay, we're about there now. We got it about heated up. Once everything is hot, it doesn't take very long. So we'll go over here to the treadle hammer. Kind of ran out of heat. Yeah. A blacksmith is he's a lot of things. He's a fabricator and a welder and a tool maker, a pipe fitter. A good blacksmith's got a lot of knowledge about a lot of different stuff when it comes to making metal, doing metal stuff. And I make a lot of knives, but I don't call myself a knife maker. But I do a lot of my own tools. In fact, almost all my tools I built myself. I do some knives. This is supposed to be pattern welded steel. I need to buff it out and re-etch it. I do a couple hundred knives a year. Pretty proud of this one. This one turned out pretty nice. This is my favorite style to make. Is out of rasps, horseshoe rasps. Black walnut handles. It's a little dirty. I had been touching it a lot. That's about as long as I can make in this little forge I've got here. Yeah, that one turned out okay. And then I got this other one I did. I'm waiting for the weather to get better. The guy's supposed to come maybe pick some of these up. He's going to decide which ones he wants. The rest I'm going to put on the Etsy store. There, you can really see the Damascus in that one, or the pattern weld in that one. And that's elkhorn on that. If I can find pre-war files, they're hard to come by now. I do a lot of old rasps, a lot of the old rasps with no tangs on them. That's probably my favorite steel to make stuff out of. This one turned out really nice. This was a custom order for a guy. Ladder Damascus. Elkhorn. Boy, Joel kind of went all out on these sheaths this time. I do a lot of truck spring, a lot of coil spring. I do a ton of stuff out of rasp. No, I don't do the leather work. I can do leather work, but the guy I have do my leather work. He does such a better job than me. I don't even mess with it. And I'm so busy, and this shop is so dirty that anytime I try to do leather work in here, it just turns into a catastrophe. So, that's one of my little tomahawks I make, and that's one of the original sized ones. And here's another one that I did. I got to get some handles ordered for them. All right, we're going to finish up this set of spur shapes. See how we did. This is the reason you can't have any plastic tools in a blacksmith shop. Yeah, we're very good there. Just a little wider there. I can always grind it if I have to. there now. Just a 30-second over, but not a big deal. And see what I'll do is I'll split that right there. I'll cut those in the bandsaw, and that'll give me two. That'll give me two shanks for my spurs. I don't have to worry about that railroad spike material hardening. It won't. Once it's been hot, cooled down once or twice, it won't harden back up. But I'll leave it in that forge and I'll let it soften up. And I think now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can't maybe figure out how to put some handles on this draw knife. But we need to take the quenching oil off of it. At least get the majority of the quenching oil off of it so it ain't cracking black soot everywhere and everywhere, every time I touch it. So we'll at least get the oily film off of it. I quenched this. This is a piece of lawnmower blade. And I like working with lawnmower blade for doing this kind of a thing because it's super, super tough. They don't hold an edge. The lawnmower blade doesn't hold an edge like a lot of different other steels do. But they're easy to sharpen and they don't break. You can bend on them and flex on them a little bit. And this one's I actually probably got this one a little softer than I should because I quenched it in oil instead of quenching it in water, which I think a lot of that lawnmower blade steel is quenched in water, but the oil was really cold. So a good way to tell is get a file. And we'll see if it cuts or skates. It it's about where I want it. Kind of skates and kind of cuts. And that's what I want. Because when you're using one of these, you're going to flex on that some. And you can take the chance of breaking it. And so I'd rather have it just a little softer than harder. And what I'm using there is I've just got a little paint thinner, little mineral spirits. And I'm just trying to get the oil from the quenching off of that a little bit. And then we're going to figure out how we're going to do the handles on it. We're going to do them traditional. This is a size that I make a lot of these little draw knives this size because they work really good for doing handles. Like if you're doing, like you have to reform a axe handle or something. This is a really, really nice size. They're small, but I've done all kinds of different shapes. Like I can curve them. This one I got pretty flat, but you can curve them. You can do all kinds of stuff with them. All right, so I think we're going to use this piece of, I think this is maple. For about 6 inches, so a little over 3 1/8 or something. Right there. That's going to be almost too much. We'll start there. You notice I don't do a ton of measuring. All you fab guys, all you guys that are fabbing and are watching me, if you don't have one of those set up in your shop, you should. Because I'm going to tell you, that little tool with that sewing machine motor on it saves a lot of work, a lot of time. All right. Well, we're still fairly long there. There might have to be a little bit of. So traditionally what you do is you drill a hole clear through that, you'd feed that down in there, and then you somehow or another pin this over on the back side. And I will probably do that, and I'll probably use some kind of a copper finial or something in there to keep that, to try to help that from splitting. But we're going to doctor on these a little bit while you guys are here watching. We're going to start there. So instead of measuring, because we're doing a set, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to measure anything. I'm just going to compare them. I'm just going to compare the two of them and try to get them as close as I can that way. Now we got to come up with a drill bit. Don't want to go too big. It's kind of like Goldilocks. We don't want them to be loose. Don't want it to be too tight. You guys know how to sharpen a drill bit? That's another thing that everybody that works with machines ought to know how to do. You need to know how to sharpen a drill bit. It only took me 15 years to learn how to do it. Of course, I'm a little bit of a troglodyte, so that might explain why. Okay. So clearly, and you do them this way for a reason. So when you drive that down on there, you want that to not spin. And so you leave your tang square and kind of wedge shaped, but we're a little long, so I'm going to cut another 3/8 of an inch off of these because we're just a little long. This is we're going by feel. You guys are getting an education for sure. This ain't the right way to do it, but it's the way I do it. So there you go. All right. I think that will work. We're going to try it. We're going to try it. So let's see if I got my drill bit sharp. Now, before I go all the way down, I know I got to do a little funny whammy on here to get that to seat good. I'm going to do that now. I am not going to drill all the way through. I'm going to drill about halfway through. Did you get that? I might have to go with a little bit bigger drill bit, but that's a good start. That's a good start. I think that's a 7/32. I open it up to a quarter. I drilled from one end first, halfway, and then I drilled from the other end, and that will help you get your holes centered up. I think I'm going to need a bigger drill bit for this little trick. Let's go. A little bigger. At least on the top side. I don't necessarily need it on that end, but I need it on this end to be bigger. So I drilled that bigger drill bit about halfway down through there. And maybe we won't split them. Maybe we won't. Maybe we will, and maybe we won't. So we're going to use this vise as a heat sink. Yeah. Because I don't want to change the temper in this blade. I don't care if the tips of them are soft. In fact, I want them soft. But we're going to use this big old vise as a heat sink. And we're going to get us a monkey tool, just in case. We're going to get us a dead blow hammer. We're going to get us a torch. Where my other one went to. Where my other one went. This one will work. Let's see if that'll work. Okay, so we got to make sure that we got our piece the right way. Oh, I split it. God damn it. So close. If I could have just got an eighth of an inch more. We split it. That's the trouble about using that hardwood. So the object is to get just enough through there that you can rivet it over. And I was just wanting just a little bit more. Oh, shit. Well, that's how that goes. So I guess what we'll do is we'll go with plan B. I've got this busted out hickory handle. And we'll use it. We'll use it. That's how this goes. There ain't no measuring. You just kind of guess. And sometimes you screw it up, and sometimes you don't. But like I said, nothing goes to waste around here. Nothing goes to waste. I might have to drill just a little bit bigger hole when I do this. But you're getting a good idea about how to do this. And at least you're learning how to do it the wrong way. Blacksmithing in real life, that's what we call this, right? No mistakes, just happy accidents. We're going to drill a little bit in the hole. Yeah. We're going to go just a little bigger in hopes that we don't split this. And maybe I'll run that heat down into that. And maybe I'll run some heat, that heat down into that just a little more this next time. I'll let that heat travel up that the tang on that knife a little more. Okay, we'll try this again. So like I said, I'm using this vise as a heat sink so the heat doesn't travel down into that blade and take the temper out of it. That's kind of the key to this. I'm gonna go get my other torch though. This will make this easier. Yeah, this is where I screwed it up last time. And we're there, I think. All right. See the tip sticking out there a little bit? Now we're talking. Let me go get a grommet. Hopefully I've got a grommet big enough. Might have to make some. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Well, I might have to make one. I'll go to hell. Thought I had some bigger ones in here. I got some big saddle rivets in here, but I don't have no grommets big enough. So I'm gonna have to make one. Got a loose one laying down here. Oh, there, maybe. I'm gonna need two of them though, hopefully. Let's see if this will work. Maybe. Let me grab another tool. So that's just a copper saddle grommet. God dang, seriously? Is that actually going to go together like peas and carrots? All right, you guys, there you go. Look at that. And of course, what we'll do is we'll take this over here to the sander. And we got a little cleanup to do on it. But that is how you do that. Do not hit the wood. And if we really wanted to get really serious, we could run a little glue down in there, and that'll really hold it good. Well, are you learning anything? What not to do? Another handy tool they don't see very much. They are handy. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Might have to bend that tang a little bit. Kind of went in there crooked. Have to bend the tang up a little. Feels like the tang didn't go straight in. Get into the wood. That's what it was doing. Well, this might work, it might not. Right. Woohoo! Got it. Now you know that's going to be a hot son of a gun. You could get real fancy and put some finials up here too if you wanted to, but I generally don't. I generally don't. I like, for the most part, taking the work to the tool. grain oak. That's how you do it. I'd say that works pretty good. The good thing is you put the handle out, it's easy to replace it. Draw that out, draw that back out on the forge, just heat that much of it out, and then put another pin in the grommet in there. Pretty easy peasy, let them see. Doing these little handles, that works really slick. There's something about making your own tools. Every time I get one of these built, somebody comes along and wants it. Can't seem to keep them around. It's a little close-grained oak. If it'll cut through that close-grained oak, it'll cut through anything. There you go. All right. I don't know how long I've been on for. It'll cut through that old dry oak. It'll cut through anything. Looks good on handles. All right, everybody. We finished the project today. That's awesome. Been wanting to do that for a couple weeks. If you have any questions or anything, you know what to do. If you're of the mind, go over to the Etsy store and share some love. You don't have to buy nothing, just like some stuff. There's a link in my homepage. Thanks, everybody.